All right, today we're jumping into a story that's part supernatural mystery, part chilling horror tale. It's called The Ghost of Dream Gully, and it all kicks off with one of the most bizarre discoveries you can imagine out in the middle of nowhere.
So let's just start with the question that sits at the very heart of this thing, because it's a wild one. What if the only witness to a brutal murder was the victim's own severed hand?
To answer that, we've got to go to this desolate, isolated place called Coldwood. This is where a man who is trying to escape the world entirely is about to find something that will drag him right back in.
So, meet our guy, Souther. He's a total recluse, right? He's hiding out from a past he doesn't want to deal with, living deep in the wilderness. His only companion is his husky, a dog literally named Dog. And on this one particular day, after a big winter storm has passed, he's just doing his usual routine, checking his game traps. It's just another day in the woods for him. Or so he thinks.
He's out digging through the snow near his big bear trap, and he feels something heavy caught in its metal jaws. He's probably thinking it's a raccoon, maybe a fox, so he just starts pulling blindly at whatever's in there, and then he screams.
Yeah, because what he yanks out of that snow and steel, it's not an animal. It is a severed human hand. And just like that, his quiet, isolated world is completely blown apart.
Okay, so finding a hand is horrifying enough, right? But this is the point in the story where a grim discovery turns into something else. This is where it gets haunted.
So what do you even do in that situation? Well, if you're Souther, you're terrified. Your first instinct is just pure denial. He digs a quick, shallow hole, shoves the hand in, covers it up, and basically tries to will the whole thing out of existence. He just wants the problem to go away.
But it doesn't. The very next day, the hand is back, just lying there on top of the snow. That night, something unlatches his chicken coop. Now he's thinking maybe an animal dug it up, so he buries it again, deeper this time, a little more respectfully. But it doesn't matter. The haunting just keeps getting worse until it hits this terrifying peak. He wakes up to find the hand inside his cabin, its cold fingers touching his face while he sleeps.
And that's it. It's on. The hand scrambles across the floor, moving like some kind of unnatural five-legged spider. It actually attacks him and his dog. It's unbelievably fast and strong. In just a sheer moment of panic, Souther manages to kick the thing out of the cabin and slam the door.
Now as he's huddled inside, terrified, something starts to click for Souther. He has this huge realization. This thing, it's not just some random monster trying to kill him. He's not just being haunted, he's being guided. That hand is a clue, and he's about to follow it. The next morning, there's no more scratching or attacking at the door. The hand is just sitting there silently on a woodpile. It's completely still, but it's rigid, and it is pointing insistently in one direction. It's no longer an attacker. It's a signpost.
So Souther makes a choice, a really brave, kind of crazy choice. He packs his sled, he puts the hand on it, and he just follows where it's pointing. The hand acts like this bizarre supernatural compass, swiveling on the sled to keep pointing true north, or whatever direction it wants. And it leads him and his dog deep into this foggy, ominous area he privately calls Dream Gully.
Once they're in the gully, the hand literally leaps off the sled and leads him to a small mound of snow. Souther starts digging, and that's when he finds him. The body of a young man. But the most important detail is how he died. The hand wasn't just randomly severed. The cause of death is crystal clear. There are 3 arrows sticking out of the man's back.
This changes absolutely everything. This wasn't some animal attack or an accident in his trap. This was a cold-blooded murder. And at that moment, Souther, the recluse who ran away from society, realizes he's the only person on Earth who can bring this killer to justice. So now he's forced to do the one thing he has been desperately avoiding for years. He has to go back to civilization. He has to face people again and find justice in the village. And you have to understand, this is a huge deal for him. He has to push down that deep-seated fear that made him a hermit in the first place. He loads the body of the young man, who he later learns is named Jesse Weimer, onto his sled and makes the long, difficult journey to the village constable. So he gets to the constable's office, and while they're waiting in this makeshift morgue with the body, the hand animates one final time.
It tugs on Suther's pant leg, turns him towards the back door, and points. It's pointing directly at a man who is spying on them through the window.
And all hell breaks loose. Suther yells and takes off after the guy. His husky, Dog, sprints ahead like a missile and trips the fleeing man. Suther is right behind to tackle him. And just then, Constable Meeks arrives and arrests the suspect, a local guy named Scott, who just so happens to be a known bow hunter. The ghost hand has literally pointed out its own killer.
Scott, of course, tries to deny everything, but the constable finds a set of lockpicks that he dropped during the chase. And Constable Meeks, well, he is not impressed. He just looks at him and says, "You, Scott, are a blithering idiot. If I were you, I'd shut up right now." And just like that, the case is closed.
Okay, so the killer is caught, justice is served, but that still leaves one enormous question hanging in the air. How? How did a severed hand manage to solve its own murder? Well, the answer, it turns out, is buried in some very old magic.
A little while later, the victim's sister comes to visit Suther to thank him, and she explains this piece of folk magic from her family's homeland. It's called the Blessing of Return. It's something that's given to a person at birth, like a protective charm, to make sure that if they're ever lost or disappear, their body will somehow find its way back to their family for a proper burial.
And suddenly, it all makes a weird kind of sense. Here's how it worked. When Jesse Weimer was murdered, that blessing activated, but a huge storm was coming, and the magic knew it couldn't get his whole body back in time. So it focused all its power into one part of him, his hand. The hand then severed itself in Suther's trap, basically flagging down the only person around who could help. And from there, it guided him step by step, first to the body, and then to the killer.
In the end, what's so powerful about this story is what Suther learns. He goes from being this man completely paralyzed by his own fear to someone who faced it down to do what was right. And he comes to this incredible realization, which is really the theme of the whole story. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the acting and the doing, even though you're afraid.
And that's really what this story leaves you with. Yeah, it's a chilling supernatural mystery, for sure. But it's also about one man's journey to confront his own demons. And it kind of makes you stop and ask yourself, when has fear ever kept you from doing something you knew deep down was the right thing to do?